Should buy Gillette, the best a man can get.
Hi, everyone. Good Monday morning to you. This is First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. This is Nick Wright. It is a great day to have a 3-hour sports program because we got about 3 hours worth of sports to talk about. The Giants have themselves a quarterback and their first win. Chiefs and Ravens lived up to their billing, and the Browns were trying to put it all together against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. That's where we start this morning. First Energy Stadium, Browns keeping it close throughout the night. Last drive for Cleveland, down 7, ball on the 4. First down, Baker, incomplete to Jarvis Landry. Second down, Baker, incomplete pass to Jarvis Landry. Third down, Baker, incomplete pass to tight end Demetrius Harris. One last chance, fourth down, because that's how football works. Baker picked off by John Johnson. That will seal the game. Rams escape with a win. For the Browns, another rough outing for their much-hyped offense as they fall to 1-2 on the season. After the game, here's head coach Freddie Kitchens.
You know, if you're looking to blame somebody, blame me. Don't blame any of our players. Don't blame any of our other coaches. Just blame me because I can take it, all right? So, you know, just blame me. Go write your article and say I messed the game up. Go write your article and say it's my fault the thing's not looking like it did last year because of this.
You know, we got nothing but support for Coach Freddie. He's done a phenomenal job, so just got to take a look at the film.
I mean, I know what you guys are going to try and do is talk about the play calling, but you know what? That's why I said execution's the most important thing. You know, whatever we have called, we got to do our job.
All right, CC, we'll start with you. Freddie Kitchens stepped out in front of that podium and said, it's play calling, it's all on me. Was it all play calling? Was it penalties? Was it chemistry? Was it Baker? Was it that offensive line? Or was it Freddie Kitchens?
Well, it's a number of things, and I can understand Freddie trying to take some of the blame, but you have too many moving parts for him to say, you know something, don't blame the players, don't blame the other coaches, just blame me. It's not that simple. But as far as the fourth down, the draw called, I hadn't seen in all my years of watching, since I coached Little League, on fourth down, I'm getting ready to run a draw, 4th and 9, and be able to pick it up. Like, when you can throw the ball as well as you can throw it, and if I put the ball in the air, there is a chance I can get pass interference. So once you decide to run, you negate all that. Now, if he told me their rush was so fierce, they were going to let the guys up the field, they had a plan to get up on one of the linebackers and be able to split it, yes, but explain that to me. But in that situation, it's very, very tough. 4th and 9. And all the stats that they've been keeping, they've only been keeping stuff like this for, I think, like 13 years. There was no stat. They were in this category. No one had ever run a draw. So Freddie Kitchens taking over the overall head coaching responsibility. Is it now affecting his play calling? Most of the time it does. It takes some experience in doing that. That was not the type of film from a play calling standpoint that they're going to send the film to Canton and it's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But from a positive standpoint, he did get this team ready to play. They had 3 of their 4 starters in their secondary, were not available to play in the game, and they played well enough that they still could have won the game and holding down the Rams running attack. Jared Goff made a couple plays against them, but overall, I thought Freddie Kitchens had this team ready to play. So we can't miss out on that defense and how the defense played, given 3/4 of the secondary wasn't available.
So to me, these are 2 separate categories. The play calling, the 4th and 9 was, as Chris said, unprecedented in recorded NFL history. And then what you showed in the highlight and what he was talking about at the end was you have 1st and goal at the 5 with all your timeouts. And he said he should have run the ball at least once, if not twice, see what you could do, because they were, that draw play notwithstanding, more effective running the ball than throwing the ball yesterday. So I think both of those choices, not running the ball at all at 1st and goal and the 4th and 9 draw, were bad choices. But the Browns lost for a litany of other reasons. And the reasons they lost, the reasons they're 1-2, are the reasons, almost all of them, the concerns you had going into the season, Jenna, they have all reared their ugly heads. Concern number 1, Freddie Kitchens, guy who was a running backs coach this time last year, all of a sudden becomes the head coach of the team. He is promoted and promoted and promoted again to where he's at the top of the mountain. He's just a total unknown. Through 3 games, he has some work to do. Concern number 2, the one spot where on paper the Browns were not a great team. Their offensive line has been as bad as advertised. The offensive line's been a concern, and Baker, it seems to be seeing ghosts at this point because he's running before there's even pressure at times. Collinsworth pointed out last night, and I thought did a good job on it, that sometimes Baker's rolling to his right in a clean pocket
before he has to,
because there has been so much pressure. And the third concern was Baker Mayfield against good competition. Even in the great run last year against good defenses, he struggled. Thus far this year, he has struggled mightily. So they are 3 for 3 on the concerns, the reasons why the Browns wouldn't live up to the hype that I had them and many had them living up to. All of those concerns are showing up, and it does not get any easier when next week you go to Baltimore.
Look, their defense played well against a Rams team that could have put up a lot of points. They managed to hold them, and that is a positive. But let's get back to that offense again, because that was supposed to be the sure thing. They have all the weapons. They have all the talent. And somehow, some way, they're not quite putting it all together. OBJ did not have the big game like he had last week. What do you think is holding them back?
Yeah, well, most people in offensive football trying to understand it realize it's about continuity. It's about rhythm. And if you can't get the quarterback into a rhythm, I like the way they ran the ball against the Rams. And the Rams have a stout front 7, but their inability to pass the ball. Not too surprising, we shouldn't be, because OBJ missed a lot of training camp. They didn't throw a lot in the offseason. So they lost their tight end last week. So he's another missing part. Kareem Hunt is not coming back till 8 games, and he wasn't there last year. There is no carryover for the most part in offensive football. You start from the drawing board, especially when you have several new starters on that offensive line. Looks like they missed Ziegler, who they traded him, the guard, and with the Giant, trade him to the Giants in the Olivia Vernon trade. So the overall continuity, there's a number of offensive lines in the league struggling. Cleveland is not the only one. In passing game, not to make excuses for them, but if they need another speed receiver, Antonio Callaway suspended for the first 4 games of the season, you could see the Rams clamping down on them because not afraid, doubling OBJ most of the time, but not afraid of the other wide receivers. So there is a number of things that you look for the Browns to be able to improve if they're going to be able to get back in this playoff run as we're early in the season.
And there was a point in the game where if Baker got the ball out in less than 2.5 seconds, he was 12 of 13. And if it was more than 2.5 seconds, he was 1 of 7. And that was indicative for how that game went. They were clearly concerned about being able to block the Rams. Aaron Donald had a big game. I think it was only 1 sack, but he was all over the field. You also, again, had their edge rushers, Clay Matthews, who they brought in, and Dante Fowler showed up, and so they clearly had a plan to get the ball out of Baker's hands fast. But when you do that, unless you have the Odell catch and run for 89 yards, there's going to be an upper limit on how effective your downfield passings are going to be, because the receivers aren't going to have time to have routes develop deep down the field. They don't have faith in their offensive line to be able to block any legitimate front, which again is why the Baltimore game should be a concern. And Baker, on the few times he has a clean pocket, if he doesn't have a quick throw, he was rolling to his right repeatedly last night, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes not, and that breaks things down. There was a play where he ran into the rush. Aaron Donald was blocked, and he ran to where Aaron Donald could get pressure. Baker's got to be better. Freddie Kitchens can say, put it on him, and the offensive line obviously is going to be criticized. Baker, through 3 games, has not been the player we saw him at the end of last season. He's got to be better.
All right, Browns fall to 1-2 with the loss to the Rams last night. As Nick said, doesn't get any easier in Baltimore next week. Coming up, the Giants have something to be super excited about. That's next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel on Sirius XM. We'll be right back.